Hi, so we're here with Rupert from Lotus. Hi Rupert.
Hi, good morning.
Can you tell us a bit about the cars you've got on the stand here at Snetterton today?
Yes, we've got three cars. We've got our GTC Evora, last year's F1 car, and our new Exige V6 Cup car.
Great, and there's been a lot of interest here today.
Yeah, especially in this one, our new Exige, yes. Been out for about 6 weeks, and we've taken orders for 45 cars, so really good news.
So here we are for the final round of the year for the Lotus Cup UK. There's only a few points in it for the championship, so it's going to be a close one.
It's been a long season, but a very enjoyable one of racing in the Lotus Cup UK. This has all come down to season finale with Rob Fenn in pole position. Alongside him, Michael Lyons starting David Harvey's 340R and Martin Donnelly starting Lotus Evora, normally seen in the hands of Adrian Lester. So that promises to be very, very close. Production class, Rob Boston, well, he needs to bring the car home to claim the production championship. In the Supersport championship, there is still everything to race for, with 31 cars on the grid. It's going to be frenetic and entertaining. Rolling start, of course, as ever in the Lotus Cup UK, which is coming to the end of its second season and has had full grids every single race for the last 2 years. It's very fitting the second year of the Lotus Cup UK finishes at the end of the second season of operation. The Snetterton 300 circuit, which has really become established as one of the top tracks in the UK. As we get ready for the start here then at Snetterton, as the red light flashes out and away we go. The race gets underway and it's Rob Fenn in the Go Green Motorsport car. That's the black and green car. It draws alongside Michael Lyons in the very distinctive 340R. Then Marcus Jewell and Martin Donnelly, the Evora of Donnelly, the bright orange 211 of Marcus Jewell. They all jinked through Riches for the first time on towards the Montreal hairpin, and Martin Donnelly has somehow forced his way through into the lead of the race in the Lotus Evora. Second place, then we've got the Exige of Rob Fenn. Now we've got Michael Lyons and Marcus Jewell just hiding. Although Marcus Jewell, we saw him begin to lose control of the car at the back of the shot there. Hopefully he'll have got that all gathered up, but Jewell may have slipped back from that battle. Where's that orange car? It's not come through. Instead it's Andrew Bentley in fourth, Steve Train in fifth, so Tom Chataway and Glenn Sherwood. There is Rob Boston as he looks to pick his way up past Paul McNeely. In these conditions, really playing to the hands of some of the production class runners to indulge in a little bit of giant killing to end the season with, but it's the former Formula One driver for the Lotus team, Martin Donnelly, who leads the way. And Donnelly has become the man you turn to if you want a Lotus Evora piloted quickly. It's great to see that car up at the front of the field, although Rob Fenn is doing everything he can at the moment to stay in touch with him. And then we've got Michael Lyons, who is a really quite unique driver, and he's got two parallel motorsport careers. One in historic racing, where he's a very successful competitor in Formula 1 cars and historic Formula 5000 cars, and also in the British GT Championship, as well as the rest of the field. All streaming through and on to the back straight with Anthony Dunn. We caught a glimpse of there in the 85 car. So the leading trio breaking clear of Andrew Bentley. Then we've got Steve Train next up, and Train, well, he really just needs to make sure he safely gets that through to the checker flag, because that could well be enough to give him the title. As we see Paul McNeely diving to the side of Chris Setters as they hit the brakes into Brundle. Then they work around Nelson, accelerate on towards the bomb hole. It is Simon Deacon and Liz Halliday ahead of that train in their 211s. Then we've got Adrian Hall, who's next along in his Exige, before we've got Chris Setters, who has another wobble. Paul McNeely and then Rob Boston trying to pick his way past a lot of them, as working around Murray's accelerating through to complete the lap. Rob Fenn in the wheel tracks of Martin Donnelly, and the centre straight, part of the track he likes, but the safety car has come out. So the safety car is out. It's not quite caught the leaders though. I'm sure that will be rectified shortly, but the race, somewhat frustratingly, being neutralised just at the end of the first lap of proceedings, really before a pattern of the race has been established. And that's why Marcus Jewell, we saw the start of that incident, and unfortunately it's ended with a fairly solid stop against the concrete barrier. Fortunately Marcus is okay. The car, however, looks like it's going to require some remedial work over the winter before we see that back on track in 2013. And yeah, awful lot of damage, unfortunately, to the right hand side of that car. Very good though to see the safety standards in the Lotus Cup UK, that Marcus Jewell able to walk away from what was evidently quite a hefty incident. Well, the marshals at Snetterton always do an exemplary job, so I'm sure it's not going to be too long behind the safety car before the race gets underway once more. The cars make a magnificent sight as they all fan out along the Bentley straight. Lights out on the safety car, so we're going racing very, very shortly, and it's going to be the responsibility of Martin Donnelly in the Evora to lead them away, with hot on his heels Rob Fenn, and then Michael Lyons in the 340R. The rest of the pack all just wait for the trigger to be pulled by Donnelly in the Evora, and the race resuming once more. There's the green flag, and away we go, and Martin Donnelly tries to sprint into the early advantage, though Rob Fenn and Michael Lyons staying right with him, and Lyons looks inside Rob Fenn. That's a really brave move into Riches, and Lyons almost squeezes through, but around the outside Rob Fenn holds on, keeps his foot firmly planted in pursuit of Martin Donnelly. Then he hits the brakes in the Evora, slithers a little bit wide at Motul. It's very, very greasy. That's an opening for Rob Fenn. He can't quite capitalise on. And then Andrew Bentley ahead of Steve Train. Adrian Hall, this is superb stuff from Andrew Bentley. Rob Boston a little bit further back, being frustrated in the midfield. So in the production class, Andrew Bentley able to put a lot of daylight between himself and Rob Boston. Boston now on the tail of Simon Deacon, having squeezed ahead of Liz Halliday. Still Paul McNeely and Chris Setters run side by side with each other as they sprint towards the hairpin at Agostini. Martin Donnelly, though, is already arriving into Oggy's lovely shot there into the cockpit of the Evora. Donnelly has to be very educated and delicate with his right foot in these conditions just to get that car balanced perfectly for the sprint to Williams, and the exit from Williams is so crucial to run down the Bentley straight. Look at that advantage that Andrew Bentley was pulled out over Adrian Hall, and that's because Steve Train has dropped out of that group, so Steve Train's had a little bit of a moment somewhere, and Chris Setters running wide at Williams, hits the brakes, car comes to a halt on the tarmac, finds first gear, and away he goes, and back into the action. Martin Donnelly all the while in the lead, but he's not really pulling away here from Rob Fenn, and this spirited performance from Rob, so he stays in the wheel tracks of Martin Donnelly, and then we have got Michael Lyons sitting on their tail as well. And it always seems to be at Snetterton where David Harvey invites an exciting guest driver to join him, because last year we had Ollie Webb at the Lotus Festival, and this year we've got Michael Lyons, and Lyons running right on the tail of Rob Fenn. Fenn proudly sporting the Motors TV stickers on his rear wing as well. As joining the track is Ken Savage, who blends back in to the fray. In fact, ahead of Lyons. That's going to be somewhat frustrating for Lyons. Obviously a problem for Savage. Andrew Bentley still leads production class. Then we've got Adrian Hall, and Hall has got some damage there to the front of that car. So I don't know whether or not that is related to the demise of Steve Train. Then we have Glenn Sherwood, and then Tom Chataway lights ablaze, tries to move to inside Paul McNeely. Every time we see this battle, the positions are changing as the drivers just get more comfortable with the performance of their cars, a little bit more acquainted with the grippers. Liz Halliday squeezes Rob Boston out wide. And Halliday, the former Le Mans racer, not be enjoying the attention of Rob Boston swarming over her rear wing. Boston again running a little bit wide through Montreal, trying to pick his way further up the order. Also showing very strongly there is Andrew Wright in the bright red car. And clearly it is a bit of a voyage of discovery on the brakes into Montreal. Charlotte Burridge able to work way around it. She's in pursuit of Andy Napier. Andy having to defend just a little bit into Palmer. Rob Boston still trying to elevate himself up ahead of Liz Halliday. He's attempting every which way, but Liz at the moment doing a very nice job here of a solid defensive drive. She's just putting the car in all the right places, all the right times to prevent Rob Boston from getting through, but now Boston may have that inside line into Williams, and through he goes. So Rob Boston does finally gain that place as he heads on to the Bentley straight once more. And will the power of the 211 be able to move Liz Halliday back up ahead of him? We'll find out in due course. Accelerating on towards the bomb hole, Adrian Hall looking to put that lap onto Ken Savage. A pair of them head through the bomb hole, accelerate on towards Coram Curve. As completing the lap once more, Martin Donnelly with Rob Fenn staying with him. The pair of them just beginning to move clear of Michael Lyons now. Over the start and finish line, on towards Riches, and Donnelly powers clear as Glenn Sherwood still clear of Paul McNeely. And this is a really solid drive from Glenn, as Rob Boston still challenged by this Halliday. He's held the advantage into Morris. He goes and locks the front tyres, and Rob Boston ploughs off the road. He's not going to find too much grip there and bash into the tyre barrier. Has he done much damage? Fortunately, that looks to be cosmetic, so he should rejoin. Although unfortunately, I think that car is in need of a nose job. May need some masking tape miracles during the mandatory pit stop before he's back up to full speed. Heading into the pit lane as well, there is Simon Deacon, so this already turning into a little bit of a race of attrition. This is always the problem on a greasy track where you can see how waterlogged that grass is. Those puddles of standing water, and that means any time the driver puts the tyre onto the grass, unfortunately they're just heading straight towards the barriers, and that's why we're seeing really some of the tiniest mistakes being punished disproportionately in the early stages of this race. Adam Knight is showing very strongly at the moment. He is just up ahead of the 36 car of Paul Davis and Ollie Hancock, and there is Rob Boston recovering. He's got Charlotte Burridge on his tail, and there is Steve Train, who we lost earlier on Train. Another drive with a fair amount of damage to his 211. As working through Brundle Nelson still, it's Martin Donnelly who leads the way, but he's not really had a moment's respite thus far, with Rob Fenn closing on his tail just as dusk begins to fall here at Snetterton as well. The headlights are on, and this is where the challenge is really going to start now for these drivers, as they not only have to pick their way around this greasy surface, they have to do it. It may be not the optimal light conditions, as Fenn closes up under the rear wing of Martin Donnelly once more. The pair of them accelerate out of Murray's and onto the centre straight, so another lap reeled off with Donnelly still in command of the action. But Rob Fenn, if anything, maybe a little bit closer this time round. He pulls out of the slipstream, shows himself in Martin Donnelly's mirrors, and Rob Fenn, I just wonder if he feels he's being slightly held up here by Martin Donnelly and wants to push his way through as quickly as possibly can. Again, he thinks about diving to the inside as they head towards the Montreal hairpin. He can't quite do it. We're heading towards the halfway stage of the race in the mandatory pit stops, where Martin Donnelly will hand over to Adrian Lester. It's maybe not quite as quick as Martin. Rob Fenn, though, is going to go the distance. We're going to take a short break. Join us in a couple of moments' time as the Lotus on Track action continues here at Snetterton.